You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Hello and welcome to another Midlife Less Ordinary. My name's Wayne and this episode is entitled The Cold Stairs, who are an Indiana-based blues rock duo who were formed in 2010 with the sole aim just to jam. And my blues-loving amigo Trev is here to say hello.
I've got my slow hand on, man.
Your slow hand? I thought you was known for your fast hands.
And my numb hand.
Oh dear. It's already gone to pot. Right, that's enough of that. So, Trev, tell us a little bit about the Cold Stairs. What do you know?
Well, listening to them for a little while, so I can hear lots of different influences in there. They've got like a really crunchy kind of groove that's similar to Clutch.
Yeah.
Which is probably the reason I really like them, because obviously I really dig Clutch. But they've also got like a really kind of cool classic rock sound to them.
Yes.
There's a lot of Zeppelin in there. But then they kind of top it off with like a real kind of cool old kind of blues master sound, like the old Resonators. The sort of Robert Johnson, you know, Soldier Soul to the Devil at the Crossroads. The Delta thing, as you probably you'd call it.
Yeah. Their roots are firmly in Delta blues.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can hear that. You really can.
Well, they've been around since 2000. Actually, Trev, thanks for that technical review of the Cold Stairs. It sounded like a musical trifle when you said top it off with that.
Musical trifle.
The best musical trifle ever.
There's something I could tuck into. A musical trifle.
We'll sort you one out.
You know? We'll sort me one out.
But these guys have been around for a while. And over the 11 years of their evolution, they've got licensing that includes Dodge Motor Company, ESPN, the X Games, TNT Network, Monster Energy. There's another one, Trev, isn't there?
I was playing Cyberpunk on the PlayStation, and I thought, I recognise that tune, and it was the Cold Stairs.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's great. Getting those kind of licenses, you're going to hit a massive audience.
So you might have heard them without really realising who they were.
Knowing.
Yeah.
That really frustrates me when you hear you'll be doing something like watching a TV show. Sons of Anarchy was like that back in the day. And even now, and you hear these like really good tunes in movies, in TV shows, in video games, and you can't get to know who they are.
That's what Shazam's for, man. That's what Shazam's for.
Yes, what the superhero. What's he got to do?
Oh dear. No, the app, Trev, the app.
Okay.
People will know what we're talking about, but you can do exactly what you're asking. But today, people, you don't need to use Shazam, because let's give them a taste of what the Cold Stairs are all about, Trev, shall we? Chris Tapp is on the guitar, Brian Mullin's on the drums.
She painted in a part of face. She combed it through her hair. She's the queen of broken hearts. Wrote the script and played the part. Patrons say the blood and shade. And I will seek your face again. And I will see you in the end. And then I stood on the edge of the earth. And then I stepped off into black. And death and in between. Traveled out across the desert, bearing the cross of a wanted man. But in your arms I found salvation. I laid my sins upon your hands. Angeline.
So Chris has agreed to join us today to talk all things guitars, music, inspiration, chew the cud with Trev, obviously.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a nice chat with Chris, see where it all comes from, to be honest.
And let's see if he'll play test the guest with us, shall we?
You never know.
Just for
You
a bit
never
of
know.
fun. Over to you, Chris. Chris, you have some European tour dates coming up, and you have a date in London on the 22nd of June, which Trev and myself are coming to, and we're so much looking forward to it. Have you got any other dates in the UK at all?
Yeah, we will announce all the dates. I think next week. We're waiting on a couple Swedish dates to come through, but we're playing London, and then we're playing Hull at a venue in Hull.
Oh, Hull. Oh, nice. Going up north.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We'll put all the
First time
dates
in
on the
England,
website.
Chris? So,
Yeah, first time in England.
No, you've never been ever to England.
My heart's always been there, but no.
Cool.
It's the right thing to say, Chris.
Yeah. That'll get you plenty of likes on there, mate.
Yeah.
Saying stuff,
Yeah.
really will.
Go on,
Talking
Trev.
of like England, if you were to, could you name some of your sort of English blues influences? Because I know you obviously are really into blues.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to I like the early American blues that the English were listening to when they started. So I shared that with them. And then after that, I don't really love the American blues stuff during the period of time right after the English. I love the English stuff. I mean, Fleetwood Mac was the big one for me.
Peter
Peter Green was the first time that I heard some of that, it just sounded so different than anything else I'd heard. It felt bluesy in a kind of purist kind of way, but it had a meanness and a kind of I don't know, like a mystery to it. It was different. So
Yeah,
I loved it. Yeah, I loved all the early English blues inspired stuff, the Stones, but Fleetwood Mac was the real big one for me.
I think the whole tone that Peter Green had with that Les Paul.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think now the hands that Les Paul has been in.
yeah.
It was Peter Green's, then Gary Moore ended up with it, didn't he?
Yeah.
And now Kirk Hammett has it.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that Kirk Hammett is still playing it. He hasn't just kind of put it in a case and like showed it in his mansion. He's actually still playing it because he brought it over. I tried to get tickets, but they were so hard to get for the Peter Green tribute thing because he actually didn't live that far from where Wayne and I come from, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, to see Kirk Hammett still using it at like the Royal Albert Hall is brilliant because these are, so you collect guitars as well, don't you, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. So is there some that you sort of don't play, or are they all playable? Are you know?
No, if I get them, if I own them, I play them. I don't, I'm not. I say that I wouldn't have one that I don't play because I don't have one that's that expensive. I have a 61 Telecaster that's worth quite a bit of money, and I wouldn't probably tour with it. I wouldn't probably take it across the country. Not just because of the value, but it's sentimental. If something was to happen to it, I'd be heartbroken. But
Yeah, you don't.
other than that, I'm going to play them all. And back to your Peter Green thing. I would say I never was a huge Metallica guy or a huge Kurt Hammett guy, but I have nothing but respect for him, the way that he has dealt with the Peter Green situation and that guitar.
Very much so, Chris.
It's just absolutely amazing. And I'll always have Kurt in high regards for the way he handled that.
Yeah, sure. It's funny because those kind of instruments, there's a certain real aura about them. I'm quite a big Roy Gallagher fan. Love
Yes.
Roy Gallagher, and that Stratocaster that he played with all the wear and tear and the sweat that took the paint off, that it just symbolises such a hard-working musician to me. Those guitars have just got that worn into them, haven't they?
I think my personal opinion is that everything soaks up its surrounding. It could be an old house where somebody lived for 100 years and you go in there and you feel that person in there, or it could be I think of those guitars like, old samurai swords or something. It's something that somebody put their heart
katana,
in. Yeah, and created, and it stayed around for all those years. It has the owner in it, and I completely agree with that on guitars. It's Rory's guitar. How could you pick that up and not feel, Rory's essence in
every
it?
club and that he's played. Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Bang on, mate. Bang on.
Yeah, Chris. One of the statistics I found on the website was your album Ways. It's been streamed over 5 million times. How did that make you guys feel when you found that out?
It's great, man. I mean, it's such a different time than it was whenever I grew up, and the only way you'd find out how an album did was to look on a Billboard chart or something. It's crazy. I have the analytics to Spotify and Apple and those companies on my phone, and I can check it in real time, day to day, and see how the albums are doing. And there's 5 million is a lot for us. There's artists that have a lot more than that aren't known. So it's a very different time that you can have so many people would listen to a band, and yet they don't necessarily, they're not necessarily famous or well known. So we're thankful for every single stream. That the fact that I could write something and say something musically and it be listened to 5 million times, it's insane to me.
I think possibly, Chris, that I've probably done 1 million of them in the last few days, to be honest.
Send me the address and I'll send you the $7 we made in royalties.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's true.
Chris, don't bother doing that because he'll only waste it on something, mate. He won't put it to any good, so it's not worth doing that.
Love it.
But I know that, Chris, you're recently released Hard Times from your upcoming album Heavy Shoes, and on the 29th of April In the Nighttime is released. This is all off your new label, and I know Trev's got a question about that, haven't you, Trev?
Yeah, to be honest, Chris, I kind of stumbled across you because to take it back about 5 or 6 years, I was really into sort of the stoner rock kind of thing, bands like Caius, and one record label I followed really closely was Small Stone. So there was a lot of like those cooler bands on it, like Puny Human and stuff. And you were on it. You were on Small Stone. So that immediately attracted me to you. So I listened to it and I was like, these aren't the same kind of fuzzy rock band that I associate with Small Stone. And I just really loved the kind of bluesy sort of vibe you had going. So what, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of happened with Small Stone? Because you're a mascot now, aren't you? Because Blackstone Cherry are on mascot as well, aren't they? So it's quite a big label.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, at the time that we did the record with Small Stone, I kind of looked around and I just didn't see any labels putting out good guitar music. We actually had a couple labels that we talked to that the A&R guys would come in and we would speak to them. And then a week later, it'd be a different A&R person. And the other one got fired and they would say, we don't want guitar music. They just didn't want it. And we were kind of looking around at labels, and I had liked Sasquatch and a couple of the albums.
I'm a really big fan of them, Sasquatch.
Yeah. So Small Stone had put out a couple records that I really, really liked. And I just thought, you know what, we're not as heavy as a lot of these other bands, but I think it's a good environment for real rock and roll stuff. And I reached out to Small Stone, and Scott loved it. And I think it was good for Small Stone because it was a little different. It didn't pigeonhole them as just a stoner rock thing. And it was I think it was a good decision. It was a fair deal with us. Those guys at Small Stone are great, and we'll always think of them in high regards as well. Just it was a good experience for us.
Yeah. It's funny because I think Roadrunner Records have done a similar thing because they were always known as like a sort of metal label, but then they've got bands like Blackberry Smoke on their label.
Yeah.
I think has expanded because you can only expand the people that are buying the records on the label or downloading the songs, having different genres in that rock music thing, I think. Because I probably wouldn't have heard about you until a lot later through like magazines like Classic Rock and that, because I think they featured you, didn't they, on one of them.
Yeah.
So I would have come across a lot later, but because you were on Small Stone, that's what got me into it, and that's where it's gone from, you know. Yeah, that's well. But Mascot are treating you well, are they? Yeah.
They've been fantastic. It's this is the other record deals that we've had in the past were great and were helpful, and they were stepping stones, but we never had a team, like a real team of people around us to try to help. And this is the first time that we've, you know, it helps that Mascot's bigger. They've got a huge footprint in Europe and stuff, but we've got a couple people that handle PR. We got a couple people that handle, you know, this and that. And we have a lady named Lauren that we deal with that makes sure that we're on task and on track. And I think the album's going to do really well, first of all, because I think it's a great record, but I'd also, this time we have all the cogs in place to make the thing run. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, mate. I really am.
Talking of having all the cogs that make the things run, Chris, I hope Trev warned you about this, but we have a little segment on our podcast which is called Test the Guest, and it is as it says. We basically pitch somebody against Trev just for a bit of fun, and we've picked a topic that's close to your heart this week, which is about guitars. Are you happy to just go against Trev in this little contest, battle of wits?
Absolutely.
It's just a bit of fun, as I say.
Me, man. Chris will flatter me.
Yeah, obviously that's what I want to happen. Yeah,
he's gonna make me look bad, so it's gonna.
No.
The only thing that comes out of this, Chris, is Wayne makes me look bad
every week. Honestly, Chris, this whole thing is constructed to make Trevor look bad. So that's all it's about, and it's just also we hope it gets across a little bit of knowledge to the listeners as well. So
yeah,
excuse this jingle, Chris, but this is the introduction to Test the Guest. Test the guest. We're going to test the guest. We're going to test the guest. We're going to test the guest. Test the guest. It's a very British thing, Chris. It's a very British thing.
I love it.
Right, Sasquatch weren't available recording for us. So we had to do it ourselves. I did actually throw a note up on stage at the at Camden when we saw them once, but they must have just ignored it.
That's funny.
We're still waiting for him to get back to us. But Chris, first question to you. It's all about guitars. So first question is, what was the first model guitar produced by Fender? I've got a multiple choice if you'd like to hear them.
Well, I think it's a broadcaster. I don't think I have to know that.
Look at that, see?
This is never in doubt, was it, really? Brilliant. Yeah, Leo, I mean, you could tell us this, Chris, but Leo Fender produced the Broadcaster, which was the prototype of the Telecaster in 1951. I'm sure you knew that anyway.
Now, you watch him give me a really
Now, this is where it's fun. This is where it gets fun. Okay, Trev, I've got one for you. What was unusual about the first Gibson SG guitars made? Was it...
Do I get a multiple choice?
Well, if I have to, yeah. Okay. They were advertised as the new Les Paul model. B, they had wooden pickups. C, they had 5 strings. Or D, they were only available in a shocking pink finish. If you don't know, just guess.
No, I'm not. Hold on. Now, you said a shocking pink finish. SGs, like Angus Young's, are like really maroon.
Is that your answer?
The most famous coloured one. So,
is shocking pink finish your answer?
Yeah, go on.
I love doing this to you. I love doing this to you.
Give it to Chris.
Chris, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, so actually what happened was Gibson was having some issues competing with Fender. Fender had a lighter guitar, and Gibson was trying to put out something that was a little bit lighter and a little bit more easy to maneuver and at a better price point. So Les Paul actually had his name on the SG as the new Les Paul.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant. So, well done,
Chris. Listen to the satisfaction in one.
Yeah, I love it. I do when this happens, especially when we have a real expert on.
Nail me into the ground.
I'm so happy.
Weekend,
yeah,
he does.
There's another clap for Chris there, and he added all the value as well. Thanks, Chris. But,
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What an half.
Question 3 to Chris. Which company makes the highly collectible White Falcon semi-acoustic guitar? Do you need the multiple choice for this one, Chris?
No. That would be the great Gretsch company.
Oh my God.
And that guitar made fantastically famous by Mr. Billy Duffy, who I'm a huge fan of with the Cult.
And Dave Stewart as well, yeah.
That's right, yes.
Well, guys, this has got to be a record, Trev, isn't it?
You own quite a few Gretches, don't you, Chris?
Yeah, I have over the years. I have a couple right now, but I've had quite a few over the years. They're very dear to my heart. I love Gretches.
The strange thing with Gretches is I've never actually held one. They look really heavy because I don't remember Billy Duffy being overly tall because I've seen them a few times.
Yeah.
And he used to play it quite low, didn't he? Are they overly heavy, Gretches?
No, they're not. The majority of them are completely hollow. So like Billy's, I think his is completely hollow. He ends up stuffing, rags or something in the holes to
probably
keep
his
it
old
from
socks, Chris. His old football socks.
Exactly.
A soccer team, man.
But no, they're not very heavy.
Right.
Trev, you're just trying to put us off your question, aren't you?
I'm trying to knock Chris out of his.
It's not going to work, unfortunately. So get on to this one. Question 4. How can the original Squier guitars made by Fender be distinguished from the later models? Is it they are the only Squier guitars to have a blue pick guard? Is it the headstock features a large Squier series logo with Fender bent guitars in small letters? Is it the serial numbers begin with JV? Or is there a small original series inlay on the fretboard? I'm sure you know this one.
It's number 2. The Squier. It's not, is it? Look, it's not.
I'm actually feeling bad for you this week. It's actually a bit sad.
I'm never a guitar player anyway.
No, this is true. Top not making excuses. Chris, do you know this one at all, Chris?
I think so. I'm assuming it is probably.
Of course he does.
He's playing it down. It's okay.
I don't know. I don't know that much about the Squier guitars, but I'm assuming this probably starts with serial number JV.
Now, it was never in doubt.
That the early Squiers were all made in Japan. I'm pretty sure they are, and I had a number of them that started with the E serial number, which was a very collectible era of Fender making those guitars in Japan. That actually they were as good as a lot of the American guitars too. So
wow, the extra value is brilliant as well.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, are they Taiwanese made now, Chris Squires?
I think they're made in China and Indonesia. They're kind of made everywhere now.
How do they play next to a Fender?
If you get the right one, and you have it set up right, they're very comparable. It is, it's not exactly the same because you don't have the quality of the wood and the components is not as good, but they're great guitars for the money for sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. For a starter, for a young guy that couldn't afford a Strat, they'd be a good start-off thing to get, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so, man. Yeah, cool.
Okay. Question 5, Chris. I'm sorry if I pronounce this wrong, but the Ibanez or Ibanez Destroyer. Ibanez, sorry. Was patterned after which other guitar? I don't want to patronise you, Chris. Do you need to know the... multiple choice?
No. That guitar was made famous by Paul Stanley and Phil Collins from Def Leppard, and that guitar is modeled after the Gibson Explorer.
Well, yes.
I knew that one.
You actually knew that? Did you really?
Yeah, I knew that. I met Phil Collins at a Queensryche gig. The first time Queensryche headlined, I think, on their own. I met Phil Collins. They just supported Def Leppard in America. And I was a massive Queensryche fan. And nice guy, Phil Collins.
He is. He certainly is.
Yeah. Oh, you met him, Chris?
No, we were out at the Fender plant, and all those guys out there know him. He comes in there. He lives close to the Fender plant, and he just shows up there every couple of days and hangs out, I think, because he has his own room at the Fender plant. And all those guys that I'm friends with at Fender, they all speak very, very highly of him, say how nice a guy he is. So
he's a big star, isn't he, now? So nice to know still in touch with guys like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, last one to you, Trev.
Right,
Question
go on.
6. I think this is quite, relatively easy.
Right.
Just so it makes you look even sillier when you get it wrong.
Yeah, it sets me right up.
In 1957, Gibson began using PAF pickups on their guitars. What does PAF stand for? Is it patent applied for? Is it play again faster? Is it pickups are fantastic? Or is it pick and feel?
I'm going to guess this. I don't know this.
Yeah, go on then.
Number 2.
That's a clean sweep of sad trombones for you this week. Thank you very much. Chris.
You said trombone.
I love it. Chris.
Give it a Chris.
Chris, what do you think about this one?
That actually is patent applied for. And that's probably the most famous pickup of all time. Those pickups by themselves can bring $4,000 to $5,000 just for one of the pickups. Yeah.
It uses 2 coils to minimize unwanted sound, apparently. I'm sure Chris knows that already.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You can tell I was never a guitar player, Chris, in the bands I was in, can't you?
No, but that's what we want from a guest, isn't it? Like that kind of expertise and that kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's amazing, to be honest. So back to the serious matters. Chris, Joe Bonamassa, being such a star and a great guitar player, obviously, he really champions you guys. And he said apparently you were his favourite music discovery of 2019. And how did you connect with Joe Bonamassa?
Really, I didn't prior to that. He had sent a message to me on Instagram and just said, "Hey, I really like your band," and just was nice enough to do that. And then one morning I woke up and there was 50 text messages from all my guitar buddies telling me to look at Instagram. And I had looked on there and he had posted that on his Instagram. So I didn't know him prior to that. And obviously I thanked him a lot for doing that. It put a nice spotlight on us for the moment. And we have gone on to be friends after that. Actually, we had written some songs together for his upcoming record. I'm not for sure if they'll end up being on this record or on something he does in the future, but we've been writing some songs together. And he's
that's great.
He's a great guy. You know, when somebody's a celebrity like that, or well known for something, everybody has a perception of what the person is like based off their internet personality. And, you know, it's hard to gauge what somebody would be like. Some people that you think would be really nice or jerks, and some people that may be, the opposite of that. But I think he's a very genuine guy. I think online, when you have that many people following you, I see some of the stuff he gets asked and deals with on a daily basis. And I'm always laughing, thinking that I don't have to, God, yeah. I don't have to answer some of that. 'Cause I'm not as politically correct or as nice about certain things. So it's like,
because I really like the stuff he's done with Black Country Communion with Glenn Hughes.
Yeah, that's my love the heavier stuff that Joe does. I mean, he's obviously he's one of the best blues guitar players probably in history. And I think after looking at his catalog when he retires, it's going to be quite amazing. But the thing that I like about Joe's playing and work is that he hasn't stayed just in traditional blues. He's done a lot of cool rock blues stuff, which he was inspired by. And I think that has helped him tremendously, I think.
Yeah, because you did the stuff with Beth Hart as well, which was quite a departure, wasn't it?
Yeah, good stuff.
Good, yeah. I was lucky enough to see Joe Bonamassa on the Cold Gin tour over here. And I've seen him a couple of other times, and I've seen Black Country Communion. What I love about them, as well as apart from Joe's playing, is Glenn Hughes' voice for a man of his age is amazing.
He's a freaking legend, isn't he? He is.
Because he joined the Dead Daisies now as well, hasn't he?
I saw that. Yeah.
I've seen them a couple of times. He'd be a great addition. He really is. He will really, really be good for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think you really need to ask your jailbreak question, Trev.
I do, yeah. To sum it up, Chris, like you guys say, I really like what you do and stuff. And of all the cover versions to pick, you had to pick Jailbreak. And like Thin Lizzy are my favourite band. Just love them. And your version is killer, mate. really did it justice. I'm sure Phil would be well proud of you guys for banging that out. What made you pick that?
I had a friend of mine whose older brother really influenced myself and my friend when we were growing up, and we would be listening to Def Leppard or whatever, whenever I was in grade school. All that kind of 80s rock stuff was still playing, and he always knew these bands that we had never heard of, and he loved Thin Lizzy. And then later on, I got to know Damon Johnson from Brother Kane a little bit, and obviously he was a big
man. Brother Kane was great.
Yeah, and he was a big Thin Lizzy fan too. So, we were at a point where we didn't have a whole lot going on because of COVID. And I was like, man, we should do a cover. And I thought, of all the covers to do, it's such a great guitar riff. And then I had listened to a couple of the covers that were out there. Anthrax does a cover, and a couple of the other bands. Yeah. And I thought, there were great versions, but I didn't think that they sounded like fun versions, but not necessarily a tip of the hat to Phil. And I really wanted to do one that really paid homage and try to sing it, as similar to Phil. And so, yeah, it was just a labor of love. I knew that, so a lot of the fans that follow us may not even know that song or know Thin Lizzy. And I thought, well, it's a good opportunity to, rather than do something everybody knows, let's do something I think everybody knows that song when they hear it, but they don't necessarily know the band or know the background of Thin Lizzy.
That era of Thin Lizzy, I love all of it. Even stuff that a lot of Thin Lizzy fans aren't overly keen on, like sort of Renegade and Chinatown era with Snowy White. He was a great blues player, Snowy White. The Brian Robertson era, to me, Lizzy-wise, is just magical. They were just the ultimate hard rock band. They could play anything. Sort of the funky stuff. And they just had everything to me. And obviously growing up in that era when Thunder and Lightning came out, and they went a kind of bit more metal when I was only a teenager, that was golden to me as well. And John Sykes is a player and a half, isn't he? With Times of Bang and that. He really was. So, when you covered that, mate, it made my day hearing that. I was all over this. So thanks.
All my friends that are real musicians, real guitar players, and real lovers of hard rock, they all hit me up. That's a musician's band right there. But I agree with you. They really could do anything, and not only that, but they made hard rock accessible.
Exactly.
It made it very listenable without sounding like a bunch of just silly love songs. It wasn't just a bunch of power ballads. They made it very musical. So I love them. I love Thin Lizzy. Absolutely adore them.
You take a track like Sarah, then you put it up against something like Emerald, and it's just and it's the same band. It's just how they can go back and forth to that is just. And he was the ultimate rock star, Phil, to me.
He was.
Just wore leather trousers all the time.
You're not going to miss him at the grocery, are you?
Exactly, man. Exactly. No.
Yeah, we're just going to say we really appreciate you joining us today, Chris. But as I said before we started recording, anyone who wants to know anything else about the Cold Stairs, about where you've come from, about how you evolved and everything, I would really recommend that you look over Yonder Hill on YouTube. I found it only today, and it's great. It's only 23 minutes, I believe, or something like that as a running time. And Trev, who's been a fan for many years, didn't even know it existed. So now he's looking forward to watching that tonight. So I'd recommend anyone go and look at that. We'll put links to obviously the gigs and the Cold Stairs site and everything on the on our website, or just goes directly to the Cold Stairs website. And I can't say more than enough. We're really looking forward to getting an opportunity to seeing you at the Black Heart in Camden in June.
Yeah, see you at the Black Heart, Chris. Really appreciate this. Really thanks for doing it, mate.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. It's nice to do.
Real pleasure.
Nice to do something different on the podcast. It's that we have fun. It's a little different in the question. So I had a blast. Thank you.
We hope not too different, Chris. Yeah.
We buy a decent English ale when you're over here, Brian.
That's great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate
Chris.
that. Cheers, Chris.
All
Thanks
right,
very
guys.
much.
See you.
What a good sport Chris was joining us on Test the
give
Guest.
it a go, didn't he?
Cool.
Give it a go.
Got some knowledge, hasn't he?
Oh, shocking, mate. He didn't just give it a go. he just kind of grabbed my face, put it in his amplifier, rubbed it up and down, made me stare at his guitar collection, and then just threw me to the ground.
But to be fair, you could tell, because obviously Chris wouldn't have probably not got round to listening to a Midlife Less Ordinary podcast before, and
Never
you could
know,
tell
but
he actually
doubtful.
felt sorry for you, because he obviously didn't realise the dynamic is to just pulverise Trev.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
could tell he was feeling embarrassed and wanted to get it wrong or something. I could tell. But I was like, no,
Yes.
you got to answer it. But
Exactly.
what I don't acknowledge, and what some of the things I learnt in that, and something we didn't pick up on, obviously, during the podcast, was when we jokingly said, like, I've listened to their album a million
Well, the
times in the
streaming.
last week. The streaming, yeah. Chris pointed out jokingly, obviously making fun, he said, "I'll send you the $7 for them million streams." But it brings up a
Shocking,
great
isn't it?
point there about artists and the way they're not being treated very fairly by these streaming companies.
It's a weird one, that, because it's great that these guys, as musicians, are getting their stuff out for people like me to discover them, and yourself as well. But it's shocking to think how much the companies take from them and how much they get. The weird thing is with that, I don't know about you, but thinking of it is, I don't know if it's on the same kind of thing. Maybe I'm off on a tangent here, but when you get, if it was in another art form, like paintings, you wouldn't get the paint company taking money from the artist because they've used their paints, would you?
Dulux.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't get the sheepdog taking money from
I don't
Rembrandt.
know. Digby got enough. But
He does look a greedy bastard.
he does. He does, to be fair.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
to be fair, when I've looked into this before, an artist gets about 0.009 pence.
It's one of
for
them
every
stupid
stream.
figures. If
Yeah.
you wrote it down, it doesn't look real.
And I think you
know?
have to be streamed something like 650,000 times to get minimum wage. I mean, that's ridiculous. Imagine if you sold 650,000 albums.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And how much the record companies would take from it.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's
is
unfair.
that percentage is like the little percentage they take in office space when they come up with the idea of taking the money from that company. And that's exactly what that number looks like, I would have thought.
Yes.
It's just shocking. But I say, the only advantage is it does get their music to new ears.
This is it, yeah.
At the cost of what? Like, it's just shocking.
So we
it
say,
really is.
you still buy a lot of music, Trev, don't you? Like the Cold
yeah,
Stairs,
I
for
do.
example, the new album.
Yeah. I pre-ordered it. I
I'll be
pre-ordered
buying
it.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
Because I've
Get it
feel like
signed
you
at the gig, I think.
Yeah, you feel like you should. And I do stream music as well, but hearing Chris talk about that, it puts me off of streaming stuff.
Yeah,
It
does
really
me, to be
does.
fair.
'Cause you just think, just go on Bandcamp and buy it from the artist.
I mean, it's probably, and I don't want to diss them too much, but Spotify are the biggest purveyors of online streaming. And I think they're the ones that are sort of dictating the market. I mean, the record companies are still doing okay, but I don't want to diss Spotify too much because they distribute our podcast,
Exactly.
and we do all right.
Yeah.
Our Spotify's our
it's
top
kind
one.
of- I think the words like biting and the hand that feeds you come to mind there. But yeah, going back to Chris, the music they play is great. What I love about them is they kind of, again, there's no kind of category that they really fit in. They even. You can hear sort of the blues influences of like Stevie Ray Vaughan in there, a lot of kind of the old school blues in there. It's quite heavy. It's got a similar vibe to Clutch in places.
Yeah.
Again, there's so many fans that could take something from their music. And I think the thing is, to me, most great rock bands, and I'm not talking of like genres of heavy metal or death metal or black metal, I'm saying about heavy rock bands and rock bands. The ones that I hold the closest, that I like the most, the ones that could do everything, and the Cold Stairs fall into that category.
Yes.
Like mentioning Thin Lizzy in it, and Jailbreak. Thin Lizzy were the same. Clutch are the same. They kind of can do anything in that rock genre and make it sound like them and make it sound so valid and so now.
Exactly.
That's what you want, because that lasts. It's not a fashion thing. You couldn't say that. No disrespect to bands like Korn and stuff. You couldn't say that. They were, people love them, and I didn't mind some of their stuff, but that's of a time.
Yes.
But when you get this kind of stuff, it sounds like
the evolution
it's been there forever.
of the Cold Stairs as well. If you look at that documentary,
hard working.
They're gospel orientated. Their roots are in gospel, isn't it? Delta blues, that kind of background.
Exactly, and you can hear it.
You can influence, but as they've become probably more commercially aware, they fit into a lot of different genres now, don't they?
Yeah, this is it, and to
Broader
be honest.
appeal.
Yeah, that whole thing about like video games and film soundtracks, and I can see in America why they've been used for like the motor industry.
Yes,
because it is that kind of dry. You can imagine their music on like a Harley Davidson advert or Budweiser advert, couldn't you? That's the thing, because it's got that kind of raw American rock to it. Hopefully a lot of people pick up on them from our episode, because they just deserve it.
Go and see them.
Really
as you heard, they're playing Hull if you're in the northern hemisphere of the UK, and they're playing
good
London.
Friends, the Hazy Janes, are playing with them.
Yeah, that's right. The Hazy Janes,
which was
friends
great.
of the show.
Friends of the show, they're playing with them, which is great.
You'd be well lucky if you go and watch that.
Catch
on the bill.
both of them.
Yeah.
And I know there's another band on the bill. I did read who it was. But
we would have done that if we weren't booked into.
We can't be friends with everybody, can
no, we try our best.
Yeah, we try. We try to get out there to everyone, but but if you are that dude who's playing with them, and get on, we'll have you on as well.
We'll be fair. We want to do the trio. So,
exactly.
We hope you enjoyed the interview with Chris. The Cold Stairs are going places, not just
pre-order
to the UK.
Album. Exactly.
Pre-order the album.
Pre-order the album.
Look at their new music video in the night time. That's great as well.
Video's great, done by the guy that coloured all the Rick and Morty stuff.
Yeah, you can tell. Can't
the album cover's done by them.
It's fantastic.
It's great. Yeah, the whole package. This should be the one for them, and I really hope it is.
This is the year.
I really like the guys.
Definitely.
Really like what they're doing. Here's a little snippet of the classic Thin Lizzy tune "Jailbreakers," covered by the Cold Stairs.
Jailbreak somewhere in this town. See, me and the boys, we don't like it. Getting up and going down. High low and looking right to left. You see us coming, I think it's best to move away. Do you hear what I say from under my breath? Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak.
To be honest, Trev, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Just amazing. Love it.
And Trev, you've got, if you're listening to this podcast on Sunday, the 9th of May, we'd like you to go and vote for the Cold Stairs. Where can people go, Trev?
Yeah. If you go over to the Classic Rock website, they've got track of the week there. There's a few bands on there. And vote for the Cold Stairs there. Get them out there, get them to the top of it, and see where they go from there.
Brilliant. Yeah, do that for us, please, people. And also, we have what we like to call the audio green room, which is basically where we chat to guests before they come onto the podcast, and we just chat and relax and just get a vibe for how we're going to do the cast. And we did that with Chris, obviously, for a few minutes, and it's quite interesting learning about his interest in movies and things.
It was good talking about non-music as well, getting a bit of a feel for who the guy is.
Yeah.
Rather than just the music business, I really enjoyed that.
So
we had a real good.
I'm going to put a couple of minutes in now, Trev, of you talking about films. Actually, it started off, I was speaking about Look Over Yonder Hill, which I mentioned in the interview. The documentary, yeah. And I was basically saying, can you do another one because it's so good? And this is where the conversation starts and then moves on to films. So enjoy, everyone.
Yeah.
No, I've it's really brilliant. I was compelled by it. I wanted it to go on for longer, Chris, to be honest. Can you do a Beyond Yonder Hill or something?
Yeah, it may be a lot different in 3 or 4 years. So we
do a Criterion version.
Exactly.
but
just very quick talking of Criterion versions and stuff. You got? I take it. Are you the guy that puts the films up on your Instagram?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you've got a cool taste in movies, fella.
Thank you. I love.
I'm
movies.
a big old Western fan, an old samurai fan. So Yojimbo, all that kind of stuff, the Wild Bunch, well into it. Sam Peckinpah, it's my deal, so it's cool.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm infatuated with it.
Yeah, to be honest, modern movies just don't come up to it, do they? They really don't half the time.
It's just not even a comparison for the most part. There are a few that poke through every now and then that are pretty good, but man, it's just not. They've just lost it. They just make the same movies over and over again.
Just money, isn't it? It's franchises.
Yeah.
We did like a movie podcast and we spoke about that. It's just they're thinking about a franchise before they even touch the first sequel.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, who'd ever think there'd be like 10 Fast and the Furious movies?
Yeah, why do you need those?
Well, they're the same film, just with different people in.
That's only because you can't drive, Trev. That's all that is. It's the only reason you don't like
probably
it.
The reason.
Yeah. No, I love to drive and I love cars as well, but it's like they didn't do that with Gone in 60 Seconds. You know, they made the original and they made one more. It's like
exactly. It's like a kind of like a sponge. They're just forever rinsing it, just getting the last drop out of it.
Yeah,
you know? It really is. It's just it's sickening.
We'll post all the links on our website, which is amlopodcast.com. As always, leave us a review if you don't mind. We always appreciate it. Go to the Cold Stairs website and you know, look at their merchandise and listen to their music. Oh, and just before we go, Chris, if you're listening, you still haven't sent that $7 you promised me for them million streams I did.
Yeah, make sure it gets to Wayne, Chris, because when we go out, he never puts his hand in his pocket.
Right, that's enough of that.
Hold on, spending somebody else's money.
Bye,
you don't
everyone.
mind doing it.
See,
Right.
We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and visit our website at www.amlopodcast.com to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Start living them good times. See you next time.